Cliff Matthews of the St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church, and this is another installment of the popular, fast-growing web show titled In the Know. Are you in the know? So this is perhaps our third episode. Thank you so much for the feedback that you've given us over the past two, and we are committed to moving this forward. I want to say before we get started today, as you can tell, I have a little nasal stuff going on, but I am well. I told someone the devil is a lie. I'm going to do this today. I feel great. I just don't sound my best. But hey, that's how it is sometimes, right? But today I'm going to use this old term, over the moon, when it comes to our guest today on In the Know. It is Dr. Towan Dicks. Dr. Dicks is a new member of the St. Luke Missionary Baptist Fellowship, a newer member. And when I tell you he has come into this ministry of St. Luke, to use a biblical phrase, for such a time as this, right? That's one verse that I think about when I think about what he has done for St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church. But I also think about that scripture in Psalms where it said, I will look unto the hills from whence cometh my help, believing and walking, knowing that somewhere, somehow, God will get us what we need, right? And so that's what Dr. Dicks has been for St. Luke and for myself. And I want to just say, I wanted you all to know him. Today, we're going to talk about his background, um, how he sees ministry, and then we're going to talk about a project that we have that we're going to need your support with, right? So, without further delay, I want to introduce to you the doctor, Juan Dicks. Dr. Dicks, welcome to In the Know.
Thank you for having me, sir. It is truly my honor and my pleasure. I really am appreciative of this opportunity.
Well, and thank you for getting this In the Know off the ground, because without you, it wouldn't be in the know. It'd be like a big question mark, right? So thank you for coming. So, Dr. Towan Dicks, what is that doctorate? Is this something you picked up at a toy shop, or did you buy it out of a bubble? Everybody's a doctor today, right? Uh, Tell me, what is this doctorate? What
So
is this about?
this is a earned doctorate degree.
Shut your mouth.
Yes, so my doctorate is in actually education leadership. So I attended Clark Atlanta University, of course, in Atlanta, Georgia, a part of their educational leadership program. So I defended my dissertation March of last year, March 21st to be exact, of last year. And I actually graduated or earned my degree August 4th of 2024, and I'll actually walk across the stage May 18th of this year, because Clark Atlanta only has one graduation ceremony for the entire year, so we had to just wait until that next ceremony comes up. But my doctorate in ed leadership, that's my passion. I've been in education for over 15 years at this point, and I've served in a bunch of different capacities. I've been a classroom teacher here in Charlotte in CMS. I was an academic facilitator. I was a dean of students. I've been an assistant principal. And now currently how my life is set up is I've actually transitioned into an education consultant. So now I work for an ed tech company where we go around and I actually make sure that school districts are utilizing my programs or the programs correctly, and just supporting teachers and district level administrators and making sure that they're achieving ultimate student success.
Wow, that is awesome. And we are so proud of you. And congratulations on the upcoming graduation. And I know you're going to walk across that stage to get that hood with some pride and some St. Luke proud, right?
Yes, I'm a flip.
So, yeah, right. Well, flip. Do it, man. Flip. I don't blame you. I flip too. So tell me, you are an educator. Where is that passion coming? Were your parents educators? Was there a teacher that touched you? How did you become an educator?
So oddly enough, so I'll give you a little backstory. So my grandfather is like anybody that knows me, they know that my grandfather, he just turned 90 in November. And so he is my best friend my entire life. I've always aspired to do things or be like my grandfather. Uh, Grandfather was born in 1933 in Greenwood, South Carolina. So he was a son of sharecroppers. So he was the grandson of one generation from being removed from slavery, right?
Hmm.
So my grandfather grew up in a time where, of course, education wasn't allowed for African American children. So my grandfather actually only has a third grade education. Um, my grandmother, she only has a sixth grade education. They met when they're 3 years apart. So I think my grandfather was like 16 and my grandmother was 13 or something along those lines. But they grew up in city or towns right beside each other. She grew up in McCormick. He grew up in Greenwood. They lived in South Carolina until like the 50s. My mom was born in 54. And then they moved to DC, which is where I'm from. So my mom, she actually will be 70 on the 24th of February. In 2014, I think my mom graduated with her high school diploma in 2014.
Wow.
And so I don't come from a long line of I don't come from a family who, thought education was important or who, that we did what we had to do in order to survive.
Hmm.
So I was in third grade. And my teacher, her name was Miss Ehrenfeld. She gave us a simple homework assignment. And I tell this story all the time, like in job interviews or in just conversations with students or whomever, even in coaching opportunities that I have with teachers. I tell this story because I think it's important for folks to know. So I was in third grade. And as you know, I'm tall. I'm 6'5". And so everybody always, my teacher asked, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody, of course, they give the answers. I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. My answer in third grade to this day is I've always wanted to be a teacher.
Wow.
Have no clue where that came from. Just that was the first thing that came to my mind. And it was like, I want to be a teacher. And I am so happy and truly blessed that I have lived out my dream of being not only a teacher, but now being in a position where I'm able to coach teachers and coach other administrators or educators and helping them to perfect their craft. And so I can't even tell you where that came from. I think it's just one of those things that when it's in you, it's in you.
Mm.
And so it's just something that's been in me. I've always been, people ask like, what do you think your gift is, or what do you bring to the world? I think God's placed me in the world to be a humanitarian, to help change lives. And that's the thing that I've always lived up to. That's the thing that I've always wanted to do, and the thing that I will always continue to do. And no matter what capacity it is, I'm gonna always be a humanitarian where I help change people's lives in any shape, form, or fashion.
Wow. That's an impressive biography, Dr. Dicks. And it shows how important family is to you. It also shows that there is in your family DNA, there is this desire to be resilient, right? There is this resiliency, this determination. So, do you have any siblings, brothers and sisters?
I do. I'm actually the youngest of seven. I
Okay.
Yeah, I have three older sisters and three older brothers. Between my oldest sister and myself, there is a 21-year age difference.
Okay.
Between the next set of siblings, there is a 15-year age difference between us.
Hmm.
Then I have a sister who I'm the closest to. We're 10 years apart.
Okay.
I've found out when when my father's mom passed, I found out that I had two other brothers. I've only met them once.
Okay.
And it was actually at my grandmother's funeral. That was the first time that I've ever met them.
Hmm.
And so I don't know kind of like where we are in age. I know they are older than me, but in terms of like where they fall, I don't specifically know. But I do have three older sisters and three older brothers.
Wow. So you had this passion early in life to be an educator. You have lived into that. Talk about your faith formation. When did you, how important was religion, church, faith engagement in your family?
Oh man, so I don't come from the traditional family.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't come from the traditional family. So growing up, we did not do church. Like that was not a thing. My great grandmother, I had the privilege of knowing her up until when she passed. I think I was about 7 or 8 when my great grandmother passed.
Mhm.
She was the only one who actually did church in my family. And then, of course, like I said, at 7 or 8 years old, that was so long ago.
Mhm.
That was probably the only exposure that I had to it really growing up.
Mhm.
I did not come into my faith journey until my freshman, almost sophomore year in college. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so I was attending. I started out at Claflin University in Orangeburg, South Carolina,
Yes.
and so I had a group of friends. They were like, "Hey, you should come to church with us one Sunday," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm good on y'all. I'm good on that." But they kept asking me, and I was like, "Okay, you know what?" This one Sunday, I ended up going, and when it hits you, it hits you. And to this day, I remember the word, I remember the message that when I walked up and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to give my life to Christ at this point. The
Mm.
the title was, "What do you do when you gotta do something, but you don't know what you gotta do?"
My, my.
Yeah, and so so huge shout out to Bishop James Rosen, Kingdom Life Ministries in Orangeburg, South
Okay.
Carolina. And actually, before coming to St. Luke, I think I've shared this story with you before because I did not have a church home in Charlotte.
Mhm.
I was driving 2 hours a Sunday to go to Orangeburg, do ministry there, help out the ministry, continue to doing the things that I was doing there, and then coming right back to Charlotte Sunday evening and getting ready to go to work Monday morning. And so Kingdom Life has truly been a huge part in my development and growth because as
Mm.
an adult, that's when I found out who God was and found out who God was for myself and what this Christian journey and this Christian walk is like. And so that's kind of how my story with my Christian walk began is in college. And I'm not ashamed to say that because even during that time, it was like, do I really want to do this Christian thing? Like, do I really want to give up all of the things that I was doing?
Yeah, yeah.
All of those things that comes with being a baby in Christ, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Like you want to try to change and do things for the better. But what I found out is that I can still have a life and live and do the things that I want to do and still call God, the head of my life, or say that He is
Wow.
the head of my life. So that's kind of how my Christian life, my Christian walk and Christian journey began is in college.
Wow. And how has that Christian journey, that identification with Christ, that coming into the church, talk about how it has changed your life? How has it added value to who you are? How has it brought you into a greater awareness of self?
Yeah, I think for me, I was walking around aimlessly at one point in life. And I put in Bible study last night. I had a real transparent moment. I was very, at one point in life, I was very unaware of myself. I was unsure of who I wanted to be. I actually hated myself at one point. I had such low self-esteem to the point where like I hated the way that my skin looked. I hated the way that I presented myself in the world, all of these different things.
Mm.
And so I finally came to a point and I realized that like, no, you can't be that way. Like you are the you know what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had to come to a place and realization that like I have to know me for me, and I
Mhm.
have to be okay and comfortable with what I represent and who I am in the world. And being a black man in America and just being a black man in general
Yeah.
isn't an easy task. And then when you have so much societal pressures on you, then when you have all of the pressures of friends and family to be the best and to do the best and to
Yeah.
all be and present yourself in a certain way, it came with a lot of pressure. It came with a lot of pressure where I was like, I don't know if I'm able to do this, but I felt my help coming. I
Yeah.
felt, and I just heard God say, like, no, you are meant for this.
Mm.
Continue doing the things that I put in you. And I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't know, what my gifts were. I didn't know what I was supposed to bring to the world. I didn't know what I was supposed to bring to the church. But just through prayer but just keep going and just keep living in this thing called life and just going through
Mm.
experiences, I was
Mhm.
able to really hone in on who I was and what I was called to be and do.
Wow. Wow. So tell us, what do you think are some necessary things? What do you do on a regular to really stoke the fires of your faith? What do you do? What kind of practices do you engage to really help, because your story is phenomenal, your passion is real, your success is right here. Um, Help us to know what it is that you do so we can do the same thing.
Man, not to be biblical, but to study to show thyself approved.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, but I think that's what it is I read, I meditate on the word like
yeah.
constantly. And that's not me just sometimes just actually picking up my Bible, but just as long as it's in my ear gate,
Hmm.
if it can get into my ears and it can make its way to my heart and into my mind, and I can start encompassing all of the things. So if I'm going on a run, or if I'm going for a walk, or if I'm going hiking, I love to go hiking.
Hmm.
Crowder's Mountain like all the time. Like that's my happy place. That's my time truly when I commune with God while I'm going
Okay.
up the mountain and when I get to the top. But I'm listening to the word. So I put it on my phone and I'm just going and just meditating on certain things. Or I'll listen to certain songs that just encourages me just to keep going on my journey. And I think that that's the biggest thing for me, is just being able to be in a place where I'm open and vulnerable to God, to like really allow
Wow.
him to come in and just whatever it is that I'm facing in the moment. There's been times, Pastor Matthews, when I am going up that mountain and I could be listening to a song and something in that song just pricks me and I just bust out in tears, because it's like that conviction is something that's in me and it's like, okay, I can keep going. I can keep doing this. And I think that's what it is for me. Just submitting myself and being truly vulnerable to God and allowing him to just be like, hey, I got you, taking my hands off of it and letting him be in complete and utter control.
Wow. Before we transition into the area of ministry where you are shining and a trailblazer at St. Luke, um, I do want to ask you a question related to your age, right? So you are a millennial,
Yes, sir.
and one of the things that I know is a reality is that young folk like you, tend not to see church as being relevant. Seem to see church as being something which, and you talked about it. It was not really something big in your life. Tell us, what do you think millennials need? What are they looking for when it comes to church?
Oh, that's a loaded question. That is a loaded question. Um, I think the first thing truly is a sense of belonging. Is a sense of belonging, and also something that it feels good to them, a place where they can come and be expressive, a place where it's open for them. I know for me, and I shared this in the meeting that we had this past Saturday, some of the things that I first looked for when I was looking for a church
Mm,
was, I always ask myself, how's the music? How's the preaching?
yeah,
And how are the people? Like, I
yeah.
think those are the three biggest things that draw people, well, that I will speak for me, that drew me.
Hmm.
I was looking for a place to say, I'm going to stick my teeth in, and these are where I'm going to grow some roots now that I'm, here. The music, the preaching, and then the people, I think are truly big things. But also outside of that, we're in this day of technology, right? Like,
Yeah.
how can I, as someone under 40, engage with the ministry if I'm working, at night or whatever the case may be, or if I'm always on social media or I'm doing all of these different things. Like, how is this place engaging me in a way that's being impactful and able to reach me where I am? Um,
Hmm.
that technology piece is huge, because we are the generation that saw all of these developments with technology. We are the ones who saw, we were being taught the home row keys and we saw the Mac
Yes.
and all of these
Yes.
different things. So like that technology piece is truly huge too.
Mhm. Wow. So that is wonderful, and you segue right good into your area ministry. You are the media ministry guru at St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church.
Not at
And
all.
well, yeah, so you are. And so you have come in with a passion, a real sense of focus, and that passion and focus has been a pushing element. It has been to say, at least to me, are we going to do this thing or not? Are we going to move forward or not? Are we going to just sit back? Are you just going to pretend we're not in a different age? And the push that you have provided for us to engage in a multifaceted approach to reaching folk, right? To share the good word, but also to share the good word as it relates specifically from St. Luke, right? Every church has a niche, every church has something that it really seems to be good at, or it's crew.
Mhm.
You have done a great job of saying, okay, let's look at multifaceted ways to do that. Tell me, what is it about the media ministry at St. Luke that you saw when you arrived, and what is your goal for it as you look at where it can go?
So I'm a time try to go back a minute. So when I was serving at Kingdom Life in Orangeburg,
Hmm.
I was one of the youth leaders there because of education, of course. Like that was my thing. So I was working with the youth, got the team program up and running, all of those things. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna pass this on to someone else because it was already running. And
Hmm.
so I tried a lot of different things, a lot of different things. Try being an usher. Yeah, that ain't for me.
I get it.
No, 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 no. Then I tried being on the security team. I was like, I might have to punch somebody in the face if they start getting. Okay, I'm good on y'all. So then I was just sitting down one Sunday, and this lady, the lady who actually took me under her wing, who actually is still kind of serving as a mentor for me. Her name is Michelle.
Hmm.
Michelle is all things technology. Like, I mean, Michelle is absolutely amazing at the things she does. And so one Sunday I came up to her and I was like, hey, what do y'all do up here? Like, I see y'all running with these cameras. I see, all of these things going on the screen. Like, what do y'all do? And so she brought me up one Sunday and I fell in love with everything that I saw.
Wow.
Fell in love with it. So the first thing that I learned was the soundboard at the church. I learned like all of the things that I needed to know about sound, how to, what are highs, what are lows, what is the gain, what does this slider do? What does this do? How
Hmm.
do I, put on some reverb? How do I take reverb off? All of these tech sound, all of these tech things. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So that's when I found my niche. I was like, this is it. Media is where I'm supposed to be.
Hmm.
And then it takes that love of technology that I have, and it takes all of the different things that I embody through my entire life, personal, spiritual, professional, all of those things. And media ministry really ties it all into one for me. And so that's how I found my niche for it. So DJ actually invited me to St. Luke.
Hmm.
Actually, it's been a year. It'll be a
Hmm.
year this February, in like a few weeks. It was like right after our birthday.
Hmm.
He invited me to St. Luke just to
Hmm.
come, for a Sunday.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, let's see what it's about. And so when I was there, I was listening to the music and I was like, ooh, being the sound engineer is like, ooh, something. I was like, something going on up here, and I just need to get my hands on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's kind of what it was. It was like, oh, I hear it and I want to see what I can do to join. And I was just like, I'm in. And so just after some conversations, like, okay, I'm gonna go up here one Sunday, just kind of look and see what's going on. And then I've been there every Sunday since.
You haven't come down from up there yet. You have been up there still, right? So, and it has made a tremendous difference. So, at the leadership training that we had at St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church the last Saturday in January, they did a wonderful presentation, and you introduced to the leaders the need for us to make a major investment in sound and technology, that we're reaching folk, we have a lot of potential, but what is holding us back is we have uh, a system that is out of date, right?
Mhm.
Talk about first, why is it important that we have quality sound and quality tech? Tell us why that's important from a theological perspective, not just from, let's just say, a aesthetic. Why do we need to make? What is the theological impetus? What is the theological imperative around us getting this right?
Oh, easily. In order for us to do ministry conducively, and in order for us to win souls and to be fishers of men and to do all of these things, like, people are listening and they're looking and they're wanting to feel what ministry is like. And if we don't have the abilities or the technology in order to do that, we're losing out on folks. We're losing out on our reach. We're losing out on the people that we can truly draw into the ministry and help change their lives and be that beacon of light or that beacon of hope that they're looking for.
Mm.
And people think, is all about, oh, we got they got microphones, we got speakers. No, it's so much more than that. It is so much more than that. It is truly how we present ourselves to the world, not just our community, but to the
Hmm.
world, how we present ourselves and say we are really going after this thing called the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Wow, that is powerful. So tell us about this upgrade. Tell us about what you envision, and tell us. I know the price is about $70,000.
Mhm.
I know that we're going to have to work really hard to raise all of that, but I also know that there's nothing too hard for St. Luke because there's nothing too hard for God. But tell us about how you see this $70,000 investment. What would that entail, and and how soon would it be in place?
Definitely. So we've been in extensive meetings these past few months. We've had several consultations, 11 to be exact,
Hmm.
with different companies, some companies who are local here in Charlotte, some who are local in the Carolinas, and then even companies that are out of state. So we've tried to do our due diligence with making sure that what we present and what we're looking for is going to not only be conducive for St. Luke, but conducive for the audiences that we're trying to reach. And even just forward thinking about if we were to rent out our facility. So I'm thinking back to the when John P. Key came, right? And John P.
Yes.
Key came and did the video.
Yes. Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, right? The Super
Yes.
Bowl.
Yes.
Thinking about like that impact, right? Like,
Yes.
whoa, like you have this mega star, this well-known artist, John P. Key,
Hmm.
came to little old St. Luke,
Yeah, that's right.
and and did these things, right? And
Right.
so thinking about the impact of that and making sure, or putting us in a position where not only just people like John P. Key, but other folks who are looking to do, let's say, a community choir or a concert or all of these
Hmm.
different things, or
Hmm.
even a workshop,
Hmm.
putting us in a position where we now are going to be truly more than just a Sunday church.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that is important, and that is what we're looking to do. Um so our time frame for this campaign will start 1 March.
Hmm.
It will end 1 May.
Hmm.
And am I right? I think you talked about this,
Yes.
that once we get the coins, we're
Hmm.
looking at about a week or a week and a half before everything is up and running.
Yep.
And so, um, tell us about what we can expect during that process. What is it that we can expect as we continue to push towards this goal?
Definitely. So our goal with the design really is to give each person in the church, as well as our online viewers, the same rich and enveloping experience. We
Mm.
want folks who are in the sanctuary to be able to not only hear what's being sung or to hear what's being said or to see what's being presented, but we want them to feel as if they are at the heartbeat of everything that we do.
Wow.
And that's all, and that's the same with our online experience as well. We want our online viewers, for folks who are across the country, who are across seas, folks who might be across the street.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
want them to still have that same rich experience, that they feel as if they're not just watching it on YouTube or watching it on Facebook, but they are sitting right there in that sanctuary
Hmm.
with us, and in the worship experience, getting
Hmm.
that same feel. And in order for us to do that, we definitely have to make sure that we have the technologies again in place in order
Hmm.
to do that. So after all of these meetings that we had, we're confident that the solutions that we found address these long-term goals that we have with St. Luke, right?
Hmm.
And so currently the system that we're using is not built to truly do ministry conducively. Some days it's hot, some days it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And and firsthand experience how.
Oh yes, I'm thinking right now about some cold Sundays. Yeah, yeah, that it just wasn't there. You
Yeah.
know.
And
Yeah.
and just to put it into perspective for folks, so Saturday after the leadership conference,
Hmm.
after the leadership training, excuse me, Pastor and I, we went into the sanctuary. We went into the sanctuary and we did our check. We EQ'd his microphone, got his microphone where it needed to be. We looked at some videos, that were going to be presented in worship the next day, which was Sunday.
Hmm.
Um, Everything was fine.
Beautiful. It was wonderful.
Everything was fine. We go home, not even 12 hours later,
Not even 12. Yes.
and we come back the next morning and nothing is how it was when we left Saturday. And so we were in that process of trying to figure out like what in the world happened, because it literally
Hmm.
was fine.
Hmm.
And now we're rushing to get it back to where it was. And it's because the system that we're using. We are in a day, we're using a system that is an analog system.
Hmm.
So you got these knobs and you got all of these different things that are just truly and honestly 1980s, 1970s. One of the companies that actually came in, they actually looked and saw the how kind of like things were hardwired. One of the systems that we actually have in place right now, they discontinued making the system. And this is a system that we are currently using. They discontinued making the system in 1988.
My.
And I wish I would have took a picture so I could have put it on the screen so folks could see it. But I'll probably do that one day soon. But
Let's do that one day soon. Yes,
yeah,
that sounds great.
yeah. So like that system was literally discontinued in 1988. But the system that we're using, the board per se that we're using, the sound board, it isn't 1988, but it is still an older board. It
Hmm.
is late 90s
Hmm.
that we're currently a board that we're currently using. And then now that we're live streaming, there that comes with a whole nother level of being able to do things. So with the system that we currently have, we must have is not allowing us to mix properly. It's not allowing us
Yes.
to give that rich sound that we
Hmm.
need, or
Hmm.
that enveloping sound where people feel as if they're a part of the ministry. Or some days you might hear, certain singers louder than others, or you might hear, the sax or the organ overpowering things. And that's because the system that we currently have does not allow us to mix properly and allow
Wow.
it to send out the sound in which it should.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. And so what that means in the real time is, and your perfect example, Dr. Dix, was we spent time Saturday after leadership training getting everything together,
Mhm,
having to come right back the next day, do the same thing. That speaks to doing double duty.
mhm,
That's extra work. And then to get the quality that we are getting now is not the best, but that requires you and your team to work 3, 4 times harder.
mhm.
It requires you all to be constantly vigilant, because at any moment this old system is going to act up, and we can't be in the middle of live streaming, in the middle of service. So you have to be constantly. So that kind of stress, that kind of pressure, that doesn't bode well for both a sense of accomplishment with the media ministry, but it doesn't bode well for recruiting folk to get involved with the media ministry.
Mhm,
If you know that you're putting in time on a Saturday that's going to be worthless on a Sunday,
mhm.
I don't know a lot of folk who would do that. That's why I'm thankful for you having that kind of passion. Well, we've gone a half an hour. We could do more of this, right? It's been wonderful. It's been rich. Um, anything you want to talk about? Anything you think we need to cover before we go?
One of the things that I want folks to know, who are watching this, who are St. Luke members, who are not St. Luke members, is that we truly, truly do need your support in this effort in order to upgrade the systems that we're looking to upgrade. And it's not just the sound system. We're talking about upgrading all of our speakers, all of our microphones. We're thinking we've already installed the TV and getting a stage monitor for our singers, and we're trying to get the band the things that they need to be successful. And all of these things to make worship for each and every person at St. Luke the experiences that you need to walk away and be able to hear, feel, see, and know the Spirit of God. And that's what we truly, I just wanted to leave with that and just say, if we can get everyone to rally behind this pledge or this fundraiser that we are going to be doing coming up March 1,
Mhm.
truly and honestly, the worship experience, the only thing you will have to worry about is the presence of God and nothing
Wow.
else.
Wow. Dr. Dicks, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And this is going to be a well received interview. Thank you so much. God loves you, my friend, and so do I. You take care.
You as well, Pastor. Thank you.
All right, goodbye.
Bye bye.